Hello everybody, my name is RetroBoy03, and welcome to the first multi-mock I'll be showing on my channel. Just as a rebuild mock is when I rebuild one set to create something new. A multi-mock is when I take apart multiple specific sets to create something new. And then now if I just take random parts, that would just be a normal mock, but since this was two specific sets, that makes this a multi-mock. Specifically, this model, which I am calling the Knighton Assault Tank, uses parts from Murloc's Library 2.0 and the Knighton Battle Blaster, both of which are from the Nexo-Knights theme. Now, obviously, this isn't a thing that exists in Nexo-Knights. I mean, probably. I don't watch Nexo-Knights, so if this does exist in the show, I will be very surprised indeed. And if it does, please feel free to send me, excessive sums of money for being such a genius, but anyway. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get into this model. And, well, to start off with, we can just get rid of the little dinky side builds, no one cares about them. We have two bad guys, nothing really special on them except for this guy. I gave him a shield just using this Nexo-Knight's axe piece combined to this piece, like super simple, but I think it's important to mention since it is slightly unique. Then we just have this treasure chest with a book in it. Then we just have this little stand for the Ice Dragon Nexo power, and for that I just have the blue Royal Guard armor piece with just some wings attached to the back, because dragon, okay. Yeah, okay, so now on to the thing that's actually good and that I spent actually quite a long time perfecting. Like, in terms of mocks, this is probably one of the ones I've spent the most time on. Like, I've spent weeks perfecting the design on this. Which normally I don't do. With a lot of mocks, I pretty much just throw it together, maybe make a couple of slight revisions over time, and then I just kind of put it on my channel. But with this one, I've taken a lot of time. So, yeah. So as you can see, pretty much probably the most notable thing about this mock is the shape, which is kind of slanted and dynamic, which was pretty hard to get when you consider that this set barely has any like slanted pieces, and as you can see from the side, I didn't use any of those. This set doesn't have any hinges, so I didn't use any of those, and well then, give me a sec. Sorry about that, I'll get into that in a minute, but yeah, for the slanted and shape of this model, I had to do some stuff that I am 105% sure is completely illegal by LEGO standard techniques, so I'm going to jail. But anyway, basically, for this slight slanting in the back, I really just used the tiny bit of space that's naturally in between LEGO plates. And that's really all she said. Or wrote, I believe the saying is, I don't know. But then for this front section, if I remove this stud shooter, you can see that there's just a cone in there. So, with this section, since it's really only using those studs as well as one slope piece, it was a bit easier to get this front section to sort of slope in a little, and it's still very unnatural and quite illegal, but I think it looks fine overall, and also, as you can definitely see, this model definitely has a lot more armor towards the front, which I did simply because, well, it kind of makes sense, because since this thing, it wouldn't be the fastest moving thing in the world, but it would still be quicker than most ground troops, so it doesn't make much sense to put a ton of armor on the back, where no one would really be able to get to, but a lot of armor on the front, where it just sort of be just plowing through everything. But anyway, you can see that there is this little Nexo banner on the top, and there is a lot of armor on here, don't get me wrong, just not as much as in the front. But in the front, you can see our first action feature, where we just have this disc shooter in between these two faux turrets. So we can just push that and it'll drop the disc out. I mean, it doesn't work super well since it's pointing so well at the ground. I mean, this is less of a disc shooter and more of just like a disc mine, or, well, not mine, but just, something to just knock out someone that's right in front of the model. But anyway, you can also see just some stud shooters here up in the front, as well as these little faux laser turrets on the sides, and I'll get into that in a minute. Then on each side, you also have another disc shooter. And then here at the back, we have this little Technic ball shooter, and all you do is you just push these two bits together, and it'll shoot out the ball. I mean, it might take a little bit to get it to work, and hey, it hit the wall and rolled all the way across the room back to me. That's pretty cool, and yeah, because this is just attached with a couple of jumpers, you can actually move it from side to side, which is pretty cool. You can also see that there is a little window glass there, sort of for whoever's controlling it. And then in the back you also have this little thruster, and there's a feature with that I'll show you in a minute. But anyway, to get to the interior of this model, it's pretty simple. You just lift up this ladder, to which an absolute ton of armor on the back is attached, and as you can tell, that's really just using a couple of hinges to get all that on there, and just hinge all that up. And then you just hinge the front up, and the two turrets will act as sort of a set of 2 extra legs for this model, which will sort of keep it upright. And you can also see that attached to the back part there is just this little Nexo shield for Lance to use. And on the interior, something might have become a lot more apparent, so what you can do is you can just pull this out, and there's this little aircraft that you can use with your guy now. The wings are just using a couple of sloped bricks, and well, obviously the laser turrets are a part of this, and as you can already see, you can just put a guy in the cockpit. And this little Technic pin on the back, what you can do is you can just pull off this sort of outer place, booster here, and you can just attach it to the back of this vehicle, and suddenly it makes a lot more sense. And you do sort of have this little awkward block here on the bottom, but there was really no way around that if I wanted this to neatly fit into the vehicle. The main vehicle, I mean, but, yeah, so on the interior, you can see that up at the front here, we just have Ava controlling it with a set of handlebars, and although it is kind of hard to see, let me try to get... You really can't see it, so I'll just lift Ava up. You can see that also, as sort of her control screen, is just her little Game Gear. That I know that it's probably not a Game Gear, and it's probably based off of more like a Game Boy Advanced or maybe a PSP or something, but I don't care. I'm calling it a Game Gear because of the little dot slope, because of the little logo with the 2 dots on it. That looks like the Game Gear logo a little. But anyway, here in the middle, you can just sort of see that we just have the little place to put in the vehicle, and you can see that there is actually some nice space off to the sides. You could probably fit the treasure chest in here, and that was one of my goals with this model, to create as much floor space as possible. And, well, obviously there are gaps. I think I succeeded. I got a lot more than I was honestly expecting to get. And, then, here at the back, you can see storage for a spear for Lance, or, well, I mean, I guess you could see it as a lance for Lance, but it's really just a spear piece, as well as this broadsword. Then Lance, as you can see here, is at the back, and he's manning the little, shooter gun, where he has a control panel, as well as this printed control screen, and he can just, attach on here. It's not perfect, he's not directly looking at the controls, and really one of his hands is just off to the side, but I think it's still fine. And then on this side, I'm sorry if it's a bit hard to get this all in, you can see just storage for the Toxic Sting Nexo Power, which has a couple of thorns to attach to the armor, possibly, as well as just a little crossbow to shoot out little projectiles of toxic and toxicity and all that junk. So yeah, that's pretty much all that's here. And, well, I don't want to say all that's here, because that sounds like it's not that much. Again, I feel as though I did get a good amount of stuff in here. And then you can just, well, I forgot, you do have to, again, this plane cannot fit in here with the big booster, so you do have to attach that to the back when you're not using it. But, anyway, you can just fit the jet back in, fold the cockpit back in, and then fold the... Wait, give me a sec. There's something. Alright, a little bonus feature I forgot to mention is that, these two folded-in clips here at the front, those actually act as a bit of a locking mechanism, so you do have to move this a bit out of the way to get the cockpit to fully close down, and you can just fold down the ladder with the armor attached, and that is the Nexo Assault Hover Tank. Well, that's not what I called it, hover tank, but, there is one problem with this, though, and that's the wheels. Obviously, neither of these sets came with any actual wheels, aside from those 2 big thruster pieces that I ended up using as thrusters, because they don't really work good. I couldn't find a way to fit them in, plus you would need at least 3 wheels for this. But yeah, the problem is how I attach the wheels, and they're really just using these discs with a couple of bars as axles, and, while they are really the best I could come up with, they are pretty flimsy to the point where I'd almost suggest just pulling them off and using this as a hover tank. Like, honestly, this doesn't look too bad. I think this, honestly, this might look a bit better now that I think of it, but I did still design it to have the wheels, and you can just pull them off depending on your preference. Personally, I mean, I think both are fine. I think I do prefer the look a little more with wheels, because it's kind of hard to see them, and it does look like it is hovering off the ground a lot more, but the wheels are definitely a bit flimsy. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure when I'll have the instructions for this model, but thank you all anyway so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video, if you come back. And while I say I hope to see you in my next video, if you click on it, then I will see all of you in my next video. That was really awkward and kind of stupid. I was really just stalling for time, and it didn't work good because I could not improvise well because my face is dumb. Bye.